Hello, welcome to the program Political Viewpoint on ASO Television. My name is Topsy Gamer, your host. Political Viewpoint, as you all know, it's a program that deals with political issues, inviting people to be with us in the studio, analyzing issues that are quite very trending in the society. All this for those who take time to watch us. Of course, this program is streamed live on Facebook as well as in YouTube, and you watch us on DSTV channel 392, and those who actually bother, we're equally on Arabsat 01. These are the channels where you get us, and then you begin to have a feel of our discussion each time we appear on this program, Political Viewpoint. The program gives me that opportunity to invite personalities to be with me in the studio, and of course, they speak their minds on issues to be discussed as this edition, this evening stands for. With me in the studio, a respected politician, a gentleman by standard, who has been very friendly to the media for quite some time. When he was much younger than the way he is now. Right now, he is the national chairman of National Rescue Movement, simply put in the acronym NRM, in the presence of Prince Chinedu Obi. Besides that, he works with IPA, that's Inter-Party Advisory Council, as a Director General. It's a pleasure having you on the program this evening. My most respected guest, Chinedu Obi.
Thank you, Topsy.
Let me finish.
Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nigerians, and I wish us a happy viewing.
Thank you so much. You know, the last time I spoke with you, it was on radio, when we were running radio like crazy. In those days.
That's correct.
Yes, and I met you much younger than the way you are now. You have a lot of beer all over your face.
Thank you. At the time, time will always continue to push a young person to an old person.
Exactly. And here we are. Of course, sir, you are being here this evening is no any other issue than the way Nigerian politics is being played. I thank God you are a leader of a political party, and besides that, you are a leader where you call all the registered political parties to be in one place, and then you talk to them on how politics is supposed to be played. And you often meet with INEC, as further discussing on issues relating to politics that is required in this country. Without taking much of your time, since you have become the chairman of this great party, National Rescue Movement, NRM, what has been the thing you notice as a chairman?
Well, the chairmanship of a political party gives you the responsibility of carrying the burden of your party and being at the driver's seat to sell the vision, ideology of your party. So what I've noticed, and of course, which is what a lot of Nigerians have complained about, is that our politics is gradually moving away from the basic ideology. In the past, people associate to political parties based on what they believe. But these days, you wonder whether people even understand what political parties mean. Political parties are supposed to be a vehicle of ideas of how you want to run the system. Whether you want to be a progressive, you want to be a conservative, whether you want to be a liberal, whether you want to be a Democrat. In countries where you build democracy, like America, you have the Democrats, you have the Republicans. By just seeing someone's behavior, you can say this person is a Democrat, this person is a Republican. But today, someone is a political party in Nigeria in the morning, in the afternoon of that same day, he's in another political party. So what I've noticed is that our politics is now facing great challenges of people who are interested in just capturing positions, interested in their own personal ideas and not the collective idea, which actually now puts the populace in some level of confusion, because to believe in you, they need to know what you represent. So that's actually the challenge I've seen. However, parties like mine, the National Rescue Movement, is a party that was born out of the need to rescue Nigeria from this movement, from, if you like, competitive politics, where people know you for what you believe in. So we as a party operate strictly on our document, our guiding principle, our ideology, which is run a country under your rules, under the laws of the country, which is captured the rule of law for peace, because we believe that when a country is run under a rule of law situation, there's going to have a peaceful country. And of course, it's been said that you cannot have a meaningful development if the country is not peaceful. There's a very serious nexus between rule of law and peace. And we believe that when there's a peaceful situation, your country will be productive. Now, when a country is productive, our party believes in shared prosperity. A productive country that has produced so much, all of us would benefit from it. Whether you're Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, whether you're Fulani, for as long as you occupy within the geographical space Nigeria, our party says you will benefit from it, turning all the various human and material resources that we own to a developed country where everybody will be part of the honey that we give, which is why you see our logo is the bee.
Okay, I can imagine that. When did you become the chairman?
I was appointed acting chairman on January 27 during our emergency NEC meeting, and then the party went into a national convention on April 14th, where I was now elected national chairman of the National Rescue Movement.
Wow. I wasn't in the picture, but let me again congratulate you.
Thank you, Thompson.
I believe you are going to actually take the party, like the name stands for, Rescue Movement.
Thank you very much.
Rescue the party and equally rescue the country if you have the will. But if you look at what is actually happening in Nigeria, where political parties become like you rightly mentioned, one identifies himself today, he leaves and finds himself in another, and then those who are considered to be followers, they become confused, they lack clarity of where the direction their leaders are really going. Is that the way political parties supposed to be in this country, like the way it is in other countries at all, that you know so far?
If you look at the trajectory of parties we've had in the country before, in the West, for instance, I'm a beneficiary of the action group ideology of education. In the North, you have the Northern Element Progressive Union, NEPO. They were interested in bringing up the Talakawas, give them education, give them land from the original ideology of the Talakawa system. People join parties because they know what your party represents, and on the basis of what they represent, they want to say, okay, we believe in this. But today, I agree with persons who have said parties are moving from ideological base to grab power system. And that's an unfortunate situation that I personally have blamed the military for. If you remember, the Babangida administration planned to give us two-party system. On its own, wake up one morning, set up an SDP and NRC, and expect Nigerians to just join the two parties, a little to the left, a little to the right. Meanwhile, political parties are supposed to be organic systems where people join based on the belief of the party. This party provides a better idea. We like the idea on education. We like the idea on health. We like the idea on structuring of the country. There has to be something a party offers to the populace for which the people buy into. That is almost becoming absent today, which is why you find people move from one political party to the other at will.
What do you think they do that? Is it more to themselves or for the service of humanity?
Absolutely to themselves, because ideally, if it is for us, you will consult us. But I have argued, you find today a political party gives you the opportunity to be elected on their platform. If you check each time we're going into any election, you don't find on the ballot paper the name of the candidate. You find the name of the party. Now, candidates run their campaign based on the party manifesto. On the basis of that, electorates elect you to represent them based on what you have offered to them. Now, moving that mandate to another party without the people is like robbing them, because what you're now going to offer them in a different political system is not what they had bargained for. I have been an advocate of, yes, our constitution provides that if you're in the legislature and you move from a party to another party, you vacate your seat, even though you have not been able to effectively operate that. But I have advocated that we can do the same thing for the executive, so that we don't have governors elected under a platform, moving the mandate of that platform by their own, without consulting those who have elected them to another political party for self-survival, because that's what I call it. They don't do it because they like the people, they do it because they believe, okay, and if you want us to situate it properly in the current context, APC is in power. Therefore, maybe there's a tendency that if I'm not in APC, I might lose it, not because they have the interest of the people.
Wow. In that perspective, have we been captured already by the plebeians, the poor people? It appears as if we have been captured politically in this country, that they toss you like the way cake is being done in a frying pan.
Every society,
is that the way?
Every society gets the kind of leadership it deserves. The beauty of democracy, it gives you the opportunity to hire and fire. So if you can only be captured if you have accepted to be captured. In a democracy, you can't capture anyone because the power belongs to the people.
Because that's the way we are seeing it today. Like you rightly mentioned, person stays here, he moves to another person without due consultation of those who gave him the power to be there or the mandate. Because like you rightly, in the explanation you made, you said we identify ourselves with the policy or the manifesto of a political party. If I decide to be in APC, it's because of the manifesto or the what do you call it, the constitution of the party says this. That's why I find myself there. If the other one tells me this, that's why I find myself there. Then at the point, if I elect you, you will now migrate without due consultation to the other party, and then you now leave me behind.
That is totally unfortunate and unacceptable.
Yeah.
My attitude to it is that I don't want to accept in a democracy that I'm captured, because the power still belongs to me. Because the power belongs to me, and democracy has given us opportunity to elect intermittently, in our own case after every 4 years. If you carry my mandate to a place I did not authorize you to go, in the next election we will use our vote. Do
you think Nigerians will be able to do that in a situation whereby on the day of the election, either money is being used to buy votes, or they give you Maggi, salt and sugar at a point, and then they will not tell you where to belong to? Do you think, because looking, if you study the demography, you know that closer to about 80% Nigerians are poor. Because as we speak in this country, there's no longer a middle class, but rather we have the rich and the poor. And the poor are the ones that determine who now gets what at the political level. So do you think we'll be able to decide in the next election to tell you that you can't go there?
Topsy, I have always maintained that the strongest weapon of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. The mind of the oppressed tells the oppressed that I can't do anything. It's the mind of the oppressed that makes him feel that that minute's gratification, that money they give to you within the moment, is all you need. It is foolish for you to think that someone gives you, for instance, 20,000, 100,000 a day to cast a vote for a period of 4 years. That will be temporary satisfaction. I believe that the people, in a democracy, the people determines what happens to them. Nigerians can decide to say, this is what we want as Nigerians. And Topsy, if you've been following our elections, believe it or not, our electoral process is gradually evolving. The average Nigerian have this mindset that our elections don't count, our votes don't count. I disagree. Having followed election over time, I want to agree with them to an extent that our election has not been exactly as we want it. But I disagree to the extent that I know that our elections have moved from Egypt to a better situation where our vote, we probably don't have gotten to that promised land, but we are there. With continuous electoral reform, which I always tell Nigerians to push for, we will get there. If you check the last election, there were persons who won that election that nobody would have expected on a good day under the old regime to win an election.
Quite frankly.
Is that correct?
I agree with you.
There were sitting governors who lost senatorial seats. In the past, they would have just written results. But the last election showed that Peter Obi, for instance, nobody would have agreed that he will win a polling unit in the old regime. But you can see that Ashwaji was struggling Lagos with him. That shows you that the electoral system is working. Nigerians need to tell themselves that this process is working first. If we're not convinced that it's working, we will not believe in the system. So I have kept saying Nigerians should believe, Nigerians should believe, Nigerians should believe that we can get it right.
Prince Chinedu Obi, National Chairman, National Rescue Movement, NRMC, and also Director General, IPAC. Look at it this way, sir. If you check what's happening today within the political setup of Nigeria, with these political parties that are registered, that have the right to contest elections subsequently in 2027, there are internal crises. Internal crises. You have split or factional leaders calling themselves they are this, they are that, they are that. Sometimes cases will go as far as getting to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will decide on these cases. But yet, whoever has been asked to stop continues to parade himself and his cohorts as leaders of those political parties. You being the Director General IPAC, that's Inter-Party Advisory Council, is that the best way to go, that you think Nigeria politics can be seen to be very healthy going forward and to even face election 2027?
Topsy, Nigerians speak so much about crisis in political party. There are crises everywhere, including even in your own family. Whenever you have a unit where two persons are involved, once they disagree, there's going to be what we call crisis. In a political system, don't forget, it's a struggle for power, struggle for control. Who gets what? Clash of interest. People, you want to be governor, another person wants to be governor. There's going to be some level of, I think that these are consistent with democratic principles. The challenge is that sometimes some of us take it beyond the limit. For example, when the Supreme Court had pronounced that you're not chairman and you're parading yourself as chairman, when the Supreme Court or an order of court had said this is the way to go, and you're still, you can appeal. I don't have a problem with appeal until you get to the last point of it if you disagree. But once the last court in the land has said this is the way to go, I expect that the average Democrat should obey the law.
So in a way, you are saying it's healthy to have this internal wrangling.
It's democratic. It's democratic. It's power struggle. People would want to find how they can get to this. But what I always advocate is fair, struggle, and not mischievous ones that tend to derail the party. Today we hear that there are some external influences in some political parties. These are the ones that I found against. But if it is consistent with what the normal power struggle, and you're dealing within the books, within your constitution, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. For instance, your party, National Rescue Movement, how did you come about to become the chairman? Was it like there was a crisis or a period had come for you to elect new leadership?
Well, actually, in the National Rescue Movement, after the 2023 election, we had issues with the leadership because the chairman, the whole organs of the party were unanimous that the chairman did not carry the party as expected. And on 23rd of October 2023, in a NEC meeting, unanimously sacked him, consistent with our constitution. But unfortunately, Justice Omotosho asked him to return back to, the status quo. That was April 18, 2024.
Okay.
And the party, being a law-abiding party, expected the chairman to resume work. He didn't resume. He went into hiding. The party leadership had to go to INEC to say, INEC, our chairman, who the court had said come back to work, had refused to come back to work. Please, can you help us get him to come and do his job? Because under our constitution, the National Managing Committee, which is the organ that runs the party on a weekly basis, should meet every week. The NEC should meet quarterly. But for a period over a year, nobody was seeing the chairman. So, which means that we have defaulted our constitution even on our weekly meeting for National Managing Committee. It took INEC to bring him back to work. The first day he came, he had a meeting with the National Management Committee. He said actually he was tired, that he wants to bring someone to become chairman. And the party said...
This person you're referring to is who?
Isaac Ude, who was the former national chairman.
Oh, okay.
The party said, what you're saying is not consistent with our constitution. If you are tired, you want to leave, you can resign. And the party knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
There's even a constitutional provision on what happens when a chairman resigns. As if that was not enough for him, he single-handedly wrote a letter to INEC to call for an emergency convention to give the power to someone else. INEC wrote to the party and said, of course, the National Management Committee didn't even know he wrote a letter. It was when INEC replied, because the letter was delivered at the party secretariat, that National Management Committee now realized that the chairman had written a letter without the NEC approval, without the National Management approval. Under our constitution, it is the National Executive Committee that can call for a convention. That never happened. Not even National Management Committee agreed, not to talk of National Executive Committee. INEC referred him to our constitution in the letter. And when he insisted, INEC wrote another letter within 24 hours. For the first time, I saw INEC so proactive.
Gradually becoming wrangling with.
So when INEC wrote the second letter, they went ahead, and knowing that INEC was not going to attend the convention, they went to a court asking for order of mandamus to compel INEC to come for the convention. Then in the court, the judge said, put INEC on notice and come back on the 28th of January. Let us hear you. They did not wait for the court. They went on the 17th of January in what, in their imagination, is family affair. Not a single member of NEC, not a single member of National Management Committee was available when he said he gave the party, he relinquished his position to Edozo Joko, who was sacked by Supreme Court on November last year. Yeah. And this was just a month after he left, the Supreme Court sacked him for trying to, in the language of Supreme Court, for him shop. Because what he did was to see how he can find himself into Abga. Supreme Court said no. And he now felt he could do the same thing in NRA. Yes. Based on that, the party leaders were angry. And based on our constitution, the party leaders now invoked a section of our constitution that required that the two-thirds majority of National Executive Committee members call for a NEC meeting. And based on that, INEC attended a NEC meeting. It was in that meeting that he was suspended. And before that meeting, because of all these activities, his polling unit had sacked him. So what NEC did on January 27th, was to ratify the position of the sack of the polling unit, and then had to now call an emergency convention, because over time we had some of our officers that died. Our national organizing secretary died, our national public secretary died, our auditor died. So we had a lot of positions in acting capacity, and the NEC felt
as this guy I used to know, Fuye, what is his name?
Afuye. He was our national public secretary. Yeah. He just died.
He died?
Mohammed Durisu, our national organizing secretary.
Because I've not been hearing from him.
He died. So we needed to now, because many positions are now in acting capacity, we need to go for the convention of April 14th, where party now ratify the positions of all the acting capacities, and of course that's where we now have everyone now acting substantially.
Okay. Whose name do we have right now in INEC? Is it you or?
I am the chairman. The INEC recognizes as of today.
Okay.
Yes.
Now let me get back to you on a very larger form. These parties that we have closely to about 16 or more that are listed for contest of any election at all in Nigeria, is it healthy enough? Is that the way it is done anywhere? Because I see some of them not capable even producing councillors, a councillor. Now that I talk about having a member house state assembly and then at that larger form. Yes.
I disagree with you. First,
I'm only trying to imagine how these political parties are there, and then at the point they are not being heard.
There are 19 political parties in Nigeria. Each of the parties in Nigeria today has the capacity to win election anywhere, if not nationally, at least in polling units, at least in the world, in the local government, in the state. Once you have electoral system, in fact, If you notice in IPAC has been consistently asking for the scrapping of State Independent Electoral Commission. The idea is that State Electoral Commission, in the language of Mahmoud, is coronation of candidates of the government,
because of
not an election. Now, what they do there is that a governor sits down, writes the name of his friends and associates, and make them. If you allow INEC to run election at the state level, recently by November, early next year, they're going to have election in the FCT, which is only one INEC conduct. You're going to see the difference. You will find as many political parties as possible winning the election compared to the charade you have in some of the state called election.
So, by the way, you are simply saying that having more of these political parties like the way they are is healthy and not politically in Nigeria?
Multi-party,
because it's not disgusting politically, I must confess.
Multi-party democracy is the best all over the world. It creates opportunity for you to choose between ideas and say the one you want. It also puts the ruling party in check, knowing that there's someone who will take over from you if you're not doing very well.
But look at what is happening in this country. Are these political parties really doing what they should do as opposition? Because if you see, some of them don't even make noise. They don't even talk until when it gets closer to election or something like that. You're now hearing them. I often imagine, that's my opinion, whether or not there's something attached to it. Monetarily, I don't know.
Let me explain this. I made this argument in the last interview I had in your colleague's studio.
Yeah.
That argument is that PDP and APC, having been in power from 1999 to when APC started in 2015, have now gotten access to national resources. Whether they like it or not, they drive our cars, they use our security, they have the retinue of offices. This gives them undue advantage compared to the other parties that struggle with the fees and dues paid by their members. A man who runs a budget is not the same thing as a man who struggles with his own little resources. The only way to find parties very active is when we can get back to the government funding political parties, so that you can give all of them the conducive environment for them to operate competitively. But if you now allow a man, as it is today, you can see for yourself,
control the resources,
and using the resources and making these other parties look as if they don't exist. I can assure you. And take this to the bank. You see, each time I remember the incident of the last election, don't forget that P2B did not have a councillor. P2B did not have a governor. P2B did not have a House of Assembly member. He didn't have a House of Rep member. It was him alone and his credibility running around Nigeria. He moved a Labour Party from your description now to a party that was contesting to win an election. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Got a state governor, got persons in the Senate, got persons in the House of Reps, multiple houses of assembly. So that shows that every political party is the same. The difference is what it attracts. And which is why I believe that any day all the political parties have funding that they can compete favorably, and not putting one man in the towers and putting the other man on the base and wanting to cover it. You'll be unfair to them.
This picture you painted using Labour Party as an analogy to what we are saying actually gives me an idea to ask you this question. At the present day as we are today, looking at the time Labour Party came on board, when Peter started campaigning to become the next president, the time and who then was in government that propelled the interests of these young ones to aspire to seeing that they should wrestle and take power from that government, looking at the antecedents of the immediate past government, how Nigeria went into untold hardship, insecurity all over the place. And so anybody that will come and offer a kind of a leeway to provide a solution to it will actually get a backing, despite the fact that the government of that day had the control of the economy and the security. At this period we are, can that be said to be the same as it was for 2023 now?
Topsy, my personal assessment is that Nigerians are in a worse situation today compared to what we were in 2023. In 2023 we were all complaining, but how much was cost of food then? How much was a bag of rice in 2023? It
was a spillover of how the government was in 2023 down that brought about where we are today. Don't forget,
I agree.
There is a growth.
I agree.
It's a growth.
Buhari's 8 years was a disaster. Nigeria, in fact, I pity the present government, but of course they can't run away from it. It was the same APC government. Do you understand? The party is not about one man. It is the party. Ideally, what party should be selling is the manifesto of the party. The APC didn't tell us in those 8 years that Buhari wasn't doing well. Am I correct?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But you should know very well indeed that what it is today is as a result of how we were in 2023.
I totally agree with you that the current government inherited a bad situation.
Yes.
The question is that how are they responding to that bad situation? This government, yes, very good ideas. We want to maintain the same dollar rate, you know, so you don't have a power dollar situation. You want to remove subsidy. There's something to talk about if you want to do reforms.
Yeah.
Ask those who are reformed. So much reforms is not good. You don't carry too much reforms at the same time. You take your reforms systematically. You may be a bright idea, but there's something you can do on Monday that would have been better done on a Wednesday. If you do it on a Monday, it will go around. I think that's actually what has brought us where we are. His Excellency, on the first day, yes, I like the courage, but on that first day, declaring that subsidy is gone, I think shouldn't have been the best way to do it. You could still remove subsidy, but make it systematic. And even create a cabinet that can help you. At that time, there was nobody.
Only him alone.
So only him alone. So the economy that was already dying could not carry that shock. You know. Don't remind us of 8 years of Buhari. It was a disaster. It was a disaster. I think if APC was kind to Nigerians, they would have just said, let's allow another party to try and see whether they can recreate what Buhari did to us.
Yeah.
Maybe Ashwadi is unfortunately the one who is
But it's actually trying, I must confess. The present administration is trying. Yes, most of us that really lived and still living, honestly, we not want to tell our children the stories of what we experienced in the 8 years down the line. But now things are really getting better. Is it the issue of insecurity where they will come to your house and knock your door and remove you, slaughter you in the presence of your children? I've been growing stories all along. But thank God this time around, a lot of work is being done. And like we've been saying, really, it's just because the present administration took over power at the time the country was actually nosediving. But let me ask you this question. Prince Chinedu Obi, you are equally a doctor. I forgot to add that to your name. National Chairman, National Rescue Movement. Let me ask you this question. You are one of the leaders of the IPAC. Do you often advise these political chairman leaders of how they're supposed to conduct themselves, making sure they believe in the principles of the parties they belong, and ensure that they're not doing it for themselves, they are doing it for the interests of Nigeria and Nigerians and Nigeria, and even the world that stands there and watches us?
IPAC has a code of conduct that regulates the activities and behavior of its members. So we do. We have guidelines, we have a constitution. In fact, recently we moved our code of conduct to a constitution that defines the structure, the operational mechanisms for the Inter-Party Advisory Council. So we do. Part of it is how we even try to resolve inter- and intra-party crisis and all that. And of course, many times in the past, we've gotten our colleagues to take advantage of it. But more would need to be done.
How often do you advise INEC in terms of conducting?
Very well. That one is robust. INEC under Mahmoud has consistently carried what it calls political parties consultative meetings, which is done quarterly. During that meeting is a very robust relationship between the political parties and INEC. And today, when you hear me say INEC is doing very well, it's because there's a synergy between political parties and INEC.
So why is it taking INEC a little bit difficult to register more political parties? Like you likely mentioned at the takeoff of this discussion, that a person identifies himself with a political party based on the way he sees the party and the ideology of the party, and then he finds himself following the party. There are still other persons who don't even believe in those 19 political parties that you mentioned. They want to have more of these parties being registered. You, as a member of IPAC, are political parties still being registered today? And if they are not, why is it so?
Don't forget, at one point, INEC had as much as 90-something political parties until 2020, when about 74 were deregistered in line with the Extant Electoral Act.
Yeah.
I'm not the spokesperson for INEC. I wouldn't know why INEC is my party is not seeking registration, so I think you will be asking a different person that question. My party is already registered. To the best of my knowledge, INEC has done what it needs to do, having registered my party, and my party is running. I'm not also aware of anybody who has applied, met the criteria that INEC has not registered. And like I said, to be fair to INEC will be in a better position to answer the question.
Okay, but in your own capacity as Director General IPAC, that regulates the activities of political parties, can there be more of these political parties registered? Is it possible?
Like I said, this is a democracy, and we follow the law. If the law allows you to register more political parties, so be it. And don't forget, our job in IPAC is for registered political parties, not for unregistered political parties. It's an association of registered political parties.
Yes.
So our operation is within those who are registered.
Okay.
You know, which is why I am not the DG of unregistered political parties.
We don't want to say anything about that. But let me ask you this question, Prince. There's this talks around. People often say that Nigeria is gradually caving into one party system or one party state. You, as the chairman of a political party and equally a member of IPAC, can that be said to be true, or they're just trying to say it, you know, to malign the image of the ruling party?
Well, I think, in fairness to those who are saying that, don't forget the national chairman of APC himself made that comment. It's actually when he made that comment that a lot of persons became a bit worried to say if the driver of the ruling party is saying one party system and with the gale of defection, maybe that is the target. But I can tell you, one party system in Nigeria is not feasible. We're a country of over 200 million people, multiple ethnic, multiple ideas. And if we are running a democracy, the best form of democracy would be under a multi-party system. We're not China, we're not Russia. And I beg both to say I was in China. The first week in China in their governance academy, my argument was that China will run a selective democracy because they have the CPC, with the constitution says the only party that will rule. But of course they have other political parties. But by the time I spent 2 weeks in China, the third week, I realized why China had gotten to that stage. Because here is a system that works for the people. To get to CPC is not just like just getting, we needed to have evolved from the local system with years of integrity, professionalism, to a point that a CPC person will be more worried about how CPC will punish him if he fails the system than the entire country will punish him. You find a system that is interested in the welfare of the average Chinese. China said they are not a developing country because they want to see the last village in China to be as beautiful as Beijing before they can say they are a developed country.
And they are moving towards that.
They are moving towards that. If you get into China and see how a system works, if that is the system that you have here, you don't mind who is. There was a time in this country nobody was interested in who was president. If you give the people what they want, I can turn my tap and there's water. I can drive on a good road, my security is fine, my healthcare is fine, I can have a good educational system, I can have a good economy. Who cares who the president is? We become in this kind of agitation of everybody wanting to be president because we are not getting a fair share of a country blessed with the kind of enormous resources God has given to us.
That's the only job that can give you money. But being a leader in a political party, either the chairman...
Which is unfortunate because ideally, this should have been a selfless service to the people. It shouldn't be as a man was poor yesterday, they make him a councillor and they become a billionaire. That should be a job for the EFCC.
That reminds me, the story of China you gave me reminds me of a political of a country in this Asia, like, you know, Arab country. Is it Umar or whatever? Umar. They said they are even begging their citizens to come and take chairmanship of a political party. Nobody wants to do that. Why? Because everybody has whatever he or she wants. So why political parties in the first place?
Perhaps you're making my point.
Honestly.
Once the political class is able to solve the problems of average Nigerian, this agitation will stop. The only reason you have this agitation is that the resources are not evenly shared. The development has not cut across the country. People can't find job to do. There's so much. A hungry man, what did they say? He is a hungry man.
To weaponize hunger is not one of the policies, so that at the end of the day, you know, whatever you say, the person believes in you. To when you weaponize hunger, like the way it is in this country, denial of nearly everything that's considered to be luxury, you know, it's hand to mouth kind of living. Sometimes you don't even do hand to mouth. So is it intentional to weaponize?
I agree with that thought, because I'm a conspiracy theorist. I believe that certain people sit down and orchestrate certain things to achieve certain results. That's with conspiracy theory. But my consolation is that power belongs to the people in a democracy. Like I said here, every society gets what? The kind of leadership it deserves. If you want to collect, they weaponize poverty, right?
Yeah.
And you want to give me 100 million on election day so that I will collect money once and then go back to my hunger, I can say no to it. We have seen cases in this country where people rejected money. So instead of promise me this email gratification, give me something that will last for as long as I live.
Yeah.
So the challenge is not before Nigerians to remember that whatever you sow is what you reap. If you sow cassava, you will never reap.
You can't go and harvest rice.
How can you reap rice after you have cooked? So let us not deceive ourselves to say, okay, because you see in our country, what determines the election sometimes is sentiments.
Okay.
My brother, my religion, my tribe. Rubbish. When you go to buy fuel, they don't ask Hausas to queue on one side, Igbos on one side for different parties, right? Mm-hmm. So you need a leader, no matter where he comes from, who will give you what you need to live in a sense.
That will be 200 years to come. I don't see it. That's happening now.
Topsy.
I don't see it.
NRM is saying to Nigerians, believe. Have you seen God before?
I only hear about it.
But you believe there is a God.
Very well.
So believe we can change Nigeria, and Nigeria is changeable.
All right. Please, I appreciate you. Honestly, I enjoyed every bit of discussion I've had with you this evening. Let me feel you once more.
Thank you, Topsy.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Topsy.
believe a lot of people who took time to watch this program can actually attest to you that indeed it was something fantastic and fabulous. Well, we have come close to the program and we're drawing the curtains to it. Like I said at the beginning, my guest that I had in the studio was Prince Chinedu Obi, National Chairman, National Rescue Movement, NRM, and then Director General IPAC, that's IPAC, and he explained every detail required. As a matter of fact, again, we shall be doing similar kind of discussion tomorrow with yet another personality. Political Viewpoint comes to you at about this time, 45 minutes ago. We'll be leaving the studio. The news will be coming your way at about 7 o'clock. Simply stay tuned. My name again is Topsy Gimba. Bye-bye.